I want to share with you a few words of wisdom from a first robotics team member. The first thing that I cannot stress enough is keep it simple. You might have a design that you came up with, you've done prototyping for, and you're really excited about it. You want to get this thing done, but it might be more complicated than you need. And I can tell you, you will run out of time so quickly on the build season. So really narrow down what you want to get done with your robot. If you want your robot to climb that year, then you better work on your climbing mechanism. If you want to, for example, shoot balls really well that year, then you work on your shooter intake and how you're going to deliver efficiently. Make sure your robot is good at one thing very well before you start trying to do everything. Because if you try to do everything, you will do everything poorly. But if you want to do one thing, you are going to do that one thing very well. So keep your design simple and don't spread yourself too thin. Another issue that many first teams run into is budget. Because we have to find our own sponsorship, money may be kind of tight. So maybe design and build with materials that are not as costly. There are also things you can do while you're building to limit waste of your materials. For example, you can use a piece of metal or a sheet of Lexan for more than one thing and try to use the smallest piece available. So just be conscious of your budget and what you're going to be putting on your robot. Another huge point that I want to emphasize is research. There have been many years of first competitions, and most competitions have something in common. A great example of this is the climb. Pretty much every competition has had a climb at the end of the game. So you can look at what other teams have done to overcome the obstacles and use their wisdom in your design, in your planning. Don't feel like you are cheating, because research is a very natural part of any project that you're doing. Even if you, if you were to become an engineer or a scientist, you would do research before diving into a project. You don't have to start from ground zero. One thing that I found very helpful in building and designing the robot is to have an uninfluenced second opinion. So what this might look like on your team is having groups coming up with a prototype or an idea to overcome your obstacle. And each team will come up with something that is slightly different or maybe completely different, and you say, oh, I never even considered that. And then you have options to choose from when you are coming up with your solution. And one of the final things I want to talk about is the weight of your robot. In my experience, it is difficult to stay under the weight limit with your motors and your drivetrain, and then you get these subsystems going. You get to the end of your build season and you realize that you're overweight, and you end up having to Swiss cheese your robot. To avoid this, try to be conscious of the weight while you're building the robot. Be conscious about adding extra unnecessary things onto your robot, and try to keep your weight as low as possible. I hope I've been able to help you in your experience on a first robotics team, and good luck at your competition.